So you want to know what my predictions are for the employee-employer workforce for 2023. Well, today we're going to talk about that. There's been so many changes, right? We've had this huge wave, after 2020 of layoffs occurring during 2020. And then we've had this huge influx of potential more jobs than there were people looking, right? And we had working remotely. We have people getting called back to work back in the office. We have layoffs occurring. We have hiring freezes occurring. But at the same time, we have employers that really want to recruit top talent. So what's going to happen in 2023? That's what we're going to talk about in 2023. My name is Kelly, and I was a nurse to CEO, and we're going to talk about my predictions and what the workforce looks like for this year. The first prediction that I have is I think hybrid work schedules are here to stay. I think there's going to be and going to need to be more flexibility. I think people have really enjoyed, if your work allows, working from home. But I also think there is things that get missed when you need to go back into the office. And so I think employees now really have learned that maybe I don't want 100% remote, because you do feel less disengaged at times with people around you, but perhaps more flexibility, meaning when I need to or want to work remotely, do I have that option? Or perhaps it doesn't have anything to do with that at all, and it might be less days at work. So versus a 5 day a week, Monday through Friday work week, maybe it's more like 4 10s or 3 12-hour shifts, or more flexibility in those hours versus kind of fitting in a box of Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So I predict that we will have more flexibility occurring throughout 2023. I also predict that professional development will be increased. And so if you're an employee looking for professional development, really ask that question to your current employer or to future employers. What does professional development mean to you? What does it mean to the employer? Because I think what employers have found is, having professional development really creates purpose in the employee and helps with retention. And frankly, also gives the employer a new skill in their employee that maybe they didn't have before. So I really see professional development continuing in the future, or at least employers that really want to value their employees offering different opportunities for professional development. 83% of workers actually rank this as a top priority in 2023, and that was according to Workplace Intelligence. So I really feel this is not going away either, as we've seen swings in employees, the quiet quitting era or the great resignation era. Employees really have found they're looking for something different, and they're looking for employers to value them. And so professional development is one way that employers and workplaces can look to really value their employees. I also feel it gives a competitive edge to employers, because again, if you are working on different skills for your employees and you're able to utilize employees in different fashions, maybe in different departments. So the employee is getting a sense of purpose in a different skill and a professional development. And employers are seeing they're able to retain their top employees and maybe be able to utilize them in different ways that really benefits the organization overall. That creates win-win-wins, right? Because the employee wins because they get the professional development that they're looking for, and the employer wins because you have an employee that's engaged, is retained, and really can help you in other areas. So I predict that professional development is here to stay for 2023 as well. Technology and artificial intelligence. We've heard a lot about ChatGPT. And if you haven't heard about that, take a look at that. That is the newest kind of artificial intelligence that's kind of taken everything by storm. 1 billion users will rely on artificial intelligence virtual assistants by 2025. And that's according to Datamation 2018. 1 billion users. I don't see this going away for 2023. What we've found is that artificial intelligence and technology is more efficient. It kind of bridges skill gaps that you'd have in your organization. And there's some faster decision making with that efficiency. So I really see organizations and businesses relying on technology and artificial more as we move into 2023. Companies have realized that while it doesn't really replace the human interaction, and so I want to be clear on that. This is not something where I'm saying robots are taking over the world, but I do think we can all agree that we use data and technology in our life every day, and we would be behind if we didn't use things like artificial intelligence to help us gain decisions faster and be more efficient. So I really see it being as a kind of an add-on for our employees to make more efficiencies and make it faster to do the work maybe that we've done in the past. So in my opinion, robots and artificial intelligence are here to stay. 2023 is really an era, and I've talked about this, where there's going to be 5 generations in the workplace like we've been using. But there's going to be an evolution with that. There's going to be an evolution in our generation skill mix. As more baby boomers retire, the Generation Xers are kind of moving up more into leadership positions. So there's a different way in management. There's a different way in strategic direction. Generation Z is graduating from college and moving more into the workforce with millennials and Generation X's. That also means that they were started during 2020. They were doing a lot of remote schooling. Technology is part of their world. They were raised with technology. And so their expectation is going to be more flexibility. That is more important to them than some other more traditional ways we've done things. And so what does that mean? That means employers are going to have to work on benefit plans and other maybe key things that employees find value added with organizations that are going to appeal to all the generations. So I do feel that 2023 more generational mixes will occur, and we'll start seeing changes as more generations value things differently. And so employers and organizations are really going to have to look at what do we need to do different to appeal to top talent in all those generations. So I do feel generation mixes and differences are here to stay for 2023. Diversity and inclusion are really going to need to be more of a focus for employers if you haven't already. Generation Z employees, 83% of the candidates that are Generation Z indicate that they actually look at our diversity and inclusion policies and cultures in place before they accept the job offer. Again, this is kind of shaking up how employers look at the way their culture is in their organization. Employees want to know, what does the company stand for? What is their culture? What is their purpose? Do they have diversity and inclusion policies and practices in place? Because that really will become the standard as more and more Gen Zs become in the workplace. And so I really feel that is going to be an important piece to retaining top talent and recruiting top talent as well for 2023. Emotional and financial well-being will continue to be priorities for employees. So employers really need to look at, do you have human resources policies in place to help with that? Do you have employee assistance programs to help with the financial and emotional well-being of employees? According to McKinsey, 60% of employees have experienced at least one mental health challenge at some point in their lives. So what we found is the workplace does have a direct correlation to one's well-being, spiritual, emotional, and financial. And so businesses really need to create environments where there are resources available to employees so that they don't experience burnout, so that you can continue to have retain employees as their emotional and financial well-being is considered. And so do you have programs in place to help with that? As employees, ask those questions when you're at a job interview or you're working with your director. What resources are available to me? Do we have employee assistance programs? Do we have financial assistance programs? What benefits are offered that is really important to you? Because don't dismiss those benefits. I think sometimes we get into this rut where we really think about the salary and we think about very concrete monetary benefits, but that's not the only benefits that organizations and employers offer. So ask those questions that will help you make that determination in the culture of that organization. I predict there's going to be an emphasis on work-life balance. We've talked about this with more flexibility with work schedules and mental well-being. That really comes down to, does the organization have a good work-life balance that meets your needs? Now does not mean, and I've talked about this before, that you fit everything into this square box, that 9 to 5 is my hours and therefore I will not work beyond that, because that really doesn't create work-life balance. Again, I've talked in the past, maybe you're somebody that needs to leave early because you want to go attend your child's football game or basketball game, or maybe you have a dentist appointment, or maybe you just want to take a day and go play a sport yourself or get outside in nature. That may mean you want to leave a little early, or you may want to come in a little late. But then that also may mean there's times where the organization's going to need you to stay a little bit later or come in a little bit earlier to finish a project. That really can create more work-life balance and more flexibility in your life than fitting in this kind of square box Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And so I do think there's going to be more emphasis on work-life balance, and what does that look like to you and your organization and your department that you work in. Businesses and organizations really need to put a focus on that engagement part, because engagement and liking the people you work with and engaged in your organization and finding out what's going on really is the antidote to the quiet quitting, great resignation era, and is the antidote to disengagement. Because engagement is what creates that purpose and that fulfillment in your life, and that creates the win-win between you and that organization. So those are my predictions for 2023 in the workplace. If this was helpful to you, please give me a like and subscribe. It really helps push my channel forward. And comment below, what predictions do you have for 2023, or what trends are you seeing? And we will talk soon.